So,
Microphone checker. Talking about finding home away from home.
is this gonna be sad?
No, it's not going to be sad.
All right. What's the title of it?
Finding home away from home, embracing our new life in Panama.
We'll be back right after this.
Welcome to another episode of Behind Closed Doors with the Brooks.
Listen.
I am the lovely, light-skinned Cherie A. Brooks Jr., and this gentleman next to me is...
Drinking his coffee because it's early. Glenn P. Brooks Jr., author, speaker, relationship coach. And we're glad to be.
Good to be glad. Good to be glad.
That we're back.
With you.
Talking about another subject, guys. And I think that for all of you all, let me tell you what I'm thinking. I want to identify, babe, the people in the audience today, because there's a ton of people that look at us for a bunch of reasons. One, they are international travelers. Two, they are looking to move abroad. Three,
they are looking to visit.
They're just interested in travel, period. And maybe our lifestyle is something that appeals to them. But for whatever reason, I want to identify you guys. So here's how I'd like to do it. If you have traveled internationally and you've gotten your passport stamp, put a 1 in the chat. If you are looking to move abroad and maybe you're considering living outside the U.S., put a 2 in the chat. And then thirdly, if you just want to have a place to come to, you've never been to Panama, this is an interesting, as you've done your research, Panama seems to be interesting to you, put a 3 in the chat. And so with that being said, let's start with today's topic.
In today's topic, we're going to be talking about finding our home away from home, embracing our new life here in Panama.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things, and those of you that have followed us for a while, you've heard our various reasons for why we moved to Panama. But there were some factors that we did not necessarily consider when making that decision that due to certain life events have come to our attention now. But one thing that I'm grateful for is that when we did initially move here to Panama, we were of the mindset that we knew we wanted to make this home. And what I mean by home is not just having a place to live. When I say home, I mean having a community, having our own infrastructure here that makes it feel like home. And I think one mistake a lot of times people make when they move, whether it's internationally or even just moving to another city, you may have your reasons why you're moving there, but you may not necessarily plug into another community when you move there because you're going there for your reasons. And we all have our reasons why we may move. But one thing that we've learned being here is that it's very important to have a community.
Yep.
And we've all seen the 60-minute stories where Susie or Beth or John moved to wherever, some remote place, and then months come up and they wind up missing. Part of that is because of maybe they connected with the wrong people there, but also because they didn't have a community there that was checking on them.
So let me just jump in really quickly when you say that. I think it became really evident very quickly that being in a foreign country by yourself, and when I say by yourself, you don't have family, you're not here on a job assignment, meaning you came with a group of people. You're pretty much uprooting from where you were, and you're coming to a different place. Your lifestyle is built in such a way that no one's looking for you.
Right.
I want you to ponder that for a second. What happens when you need them to be looking for you? Right? So when things are good and things are, you're making money or you've got the money to do what needs to be done, life is bliss. It's going well.
You
wake up to the views or the sunsets are beautiful. But then all of a sudden life starts happening, right? There's a death in the family. There is an injury that you sustain while being abroad. And nobody's looking for you. The challenge becomes, how do you get supported?
Right.
So I think that's one of the things that I kind of want to major on today is the idea of what does it look like to build your tribe, build your community, find them, discover them, and then really systematically put together, a community that's there that you can support and be supported by.
Right, and we know a number of singles that have moved here,
For sure.
as well as couples that are here in Panama. And it doesn't mean you got to see these people every day. It doesn't mean you need to check in with them every day. It doesn't mean that, you become a part of this clique or anything like that. It's simply having somebody, some connection points here in country.
Yep.
So that if something does happen. So, prime example, we moved here in June, on June 30th of 2023. That October, actually on October 1st, I was out walking, I fell and I fractured my ankle.
Right.
Because of the connections to people that we had here, number one, we were able to get the resources that we needed. We were able to get assistance that we needed. But also there were people checking up on me during that time, during my recovery, from, our friend Mike Kelly being able to make sure I was able to get in to see an orthopedic surgeon the next day, because he's been living here for a number of years and he has connections with health experts here.
Yeah.
From my good friend Sandra, who we had befriended, her and her husband Omar, them being able to, do you need anything from the grocery store? What do you need? Just having people available, and also people just checking on me.
I think about Stephanie, who was able to do some shopping while you were away, in terms of, getting, because you actually had surgery on that ankle.
Right.
And, while you were away, she was able to, run interference and,
Right.
and began shopping online or doing things. Sandra did the same thing and actually physically went and picked up groceries and things when we were getting ready to come back. Mm-hmm. I remember us also having Omar, and you guys have met Omar, our driver. Him and his wife Mayu have become family. And they were able to check in on our unit to make sure, and that's another thing that you may not be aware of. When you live in a place like this where it's super humid and there's all kinds of heat things going on, it's brutal on your buildings, right? And so there are services that need to be done to your air conditioning units and things like that. He was able to be here to support our housekeeper, who was keeping the place clean and making sure that things worked right, but he was here to support her. And he speaks Spanish. He's Panamanian. And she's Dominican, but they were able to converse and do all the things. All of that, not to mention
the staff here in the building.
Oh my! I mean,
when we were in the States, when I had my surgery, they're calling and checking on me.
While you were in the States.
Right. Was I okay? How were things going? When was I coming back? Did I need them to do anything before we got back? But the point here is that having those connections, having people that will check on you, people that know when something's going on with you. So, I've had several friends that have gotten sick, whether it was COVID or something else. Them just being able to reach out and be like, hey, this is what's going on. And then if I don't hear from you a couple of days, I'm calling to check and be like, are you good? Do you need anything? Because it's very easy here. You could come here and, like I said, you're coming here for your reasons. And you could be secluded, be by yourself.
For sure.
But if something happens, you want somebody to be aware of you, aware of your comings and goings to a degree. That so if you decide you're going to go on a tour into the interior and you left on a Tuesday and you're supposed to be back on Friday, that by that Saturday or Sunday, somebody's like, hey, she's not back yet. Let me reach out to her. That's a good thing to have.
Absolutely.
Because anything could have happened. It could have been a flat tire. You could have got stuck in traffic. But it sure would be nice for somebody to know where you are and what's going on with you. But that takes you coming outside of yourself often and being willing to build community. And it helps it feel like home because you're not here by yourself. So
I want to, if I can, jump into, and we talked about that in the beginning, we're talking like that, but how do you do that? How do you, I'm thinking about a comment that I saw in a Facebook group that we're in where a young lady who is moving here, she said out loud, hey guys, the nerves are starting to kick in and it is coming down to the wire of me moving abroad. And I realized that a friend circle is important to me. Yes. And I just want to kind of get some wisdom from y'all on what does it look like? Is it easy for a single African-American woman? I think she's probably in her late 30s, early 40s. Is it Is it something that you can find community here? And to that point, among people who we know who've stumbled and struggled a little bit, trying to find their tribe, let's talk a little bit about how do you do that?
Right, so there are a number of communities here for expats, particularly within Panama City. You can look up the Facebook groups online to find the various different communities. Many of them host
Right.
meetups.
Yep.
There are some particular places in town that, expats kind of frequent, like the neighborhood of El Cangrejo. It's a lot of expats here in this area. If you venture onto the Santa Costera, which is off of Avenida Balboa, go walking on there, either during the weekday or particularly on Sundays, you'll run into people. And so just as you get out and about, just showing yourself friendly. And the amazing thing, actually, us as Americans particularly, and even, other expats, you can kind of spot when somebody's not from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you are willing to, just put yourself out there and just say hi and connect with people, that's a great way. Now, I know everybody's not open to that. I'm not that open a person that I just walk up to strangers and say hello. And so for me, attending the various meetups has been a great way for me to meet other people, as well as connecting to people online.
So let's slow down a little bit, because you kind of ran into three things.
I'm sorry.
And I kind of want to separate them out a little bit.
Okay.
So number one, show up.
Yes.
Show yourself friendly. Put yourself out there. Here's what I can guarantee you. If you come to a place like this and you hunker down and you find yourself on the hermit lifestyle, you are not going to generally attract people that way. So that means that you could order your food, but what would it look like to go shop for it? You could order clothes like you can in the US and have people deliver things to you or whatever the case may be. But what would it look like for you to get out and about? I love what Cherie said, because if you venture out to a place like the Santa Costera, the question becomes, what's your lifestyle? How can you use that and leverage that to meet people? So, for example, if you have a dog, if you have a pet, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you want to meet people, take your dog for a walk. Like, how about that?
Yeah,
because at this particular point, you're going to at least run into other dog lovers and things like that. And before you know it, you'll run into either expats or bilingual folks or locals who will befriend you and do things like that.
Or go to one of the many pet stores that are like on every corner.
Listen.
Take your dog or cat there, and you'll meet other people.
Y'all, they got pet stores like we got liquor stores. You understand me? I mean, it's a situation.
Yeah.
And so that's number one. Number two, I think what I heard you saying is really kind of leaning into what you value, what you do. So even when you start talking about pets, that's a whole subculture. Like, there is a subculture of people that you can get to know and get to connecting with around that. If you are a coffee drinker, what better place than Panama, one of the coffee capitals of the world, to get out and meet people around the idea of coffee and things like that. So I just want to encourage y'all that you're definitely going to have to move outside of your comfort zone and do things to get out to meet people. Now, everybody isn't as bold as us, because number two, what I'm going to throw in there is do things that attract. So step one is put yourself out there. Step two could you do something that attracts people to you? So, for example, we know a number of people that, because of how their business mind works, they have networking events that they put on purely to attract people
other business
to network.
Right.
We actually have a couples community that's one of the components of that community, because our passion is seeing couples grow. Shameless plug, if you're not a part of the MAPS Relationship Academy, we would love to have you. Click the link, the description, in the description below, and you'll find a link on what we do there. But that is a way for us, whether it's a game night or a couples night out, we created an event that attracts couples, right? Well, why do we want to attract a couple? It's not necessarily to sell them a service. Right. It's not necessarily to sell them a product. I want y'all to get out of that mindset. It is purely to add value to them. And in that particular case, if we can do that, then them doing business with you, if you have a business, becomes a byproduct.
Right. And disclaimer, so this couples community that we've created, this is our tribe. This is a group of our friends that we get together once a month, and we, are building relationship with them. We're not running a larger community like that here in Panama.
Yeah.
This is a group of our friends, but this has started with us meeting people, individual couples, developing relationships with them individually, and then saying, hey, let's all come together and do something together to continue to build relationships.
And that's really what I was getting to. I'm glad you said that, because we didn't create this to meet everybody.
Right, no.
We created this to attract
find
a
our
tribe who roll value-wise the way we do. Because that leads me to this. When something goes down and your values begin to get trampled on or not even noticed. Like, for example, I value relationships. It's more than being extroverted. It's how I'm made up at my DNA level. I was beginning to experience a sense of loneliness because I didn't have a crew that I was rolling with.
Right.
If that makes any sense, if I could put it in just plain terms like that. In the States, it would be your boys or the cats that you run ball with every week. Like, I needed to create something like that to feel whole to a large degree. Does that make sense?
Right. And if I can go to number 3, I talked about earlier attending like the meetups and things. I think you utilize these larger groups that do have large communities of people. You go to those events to meet people, to find your people. For me, say it's women, black women here in Panama, or if it's black expats, or whatever it is, if it's a travel club here in Panama for Panama travelers that are people that are coming, you have something in common with those people off the break, and then you get to know people, you meet people, and then you'll find your people. And what we're saying is from that is that you then build your core, what your tribe is, and it may only be 1 or 2 people.
Right.
But you need to have some form of support here to make it feel like home. We have a group WhatsApp for our community, for our tribe. I'm gonna say tribe, stop using community because that's a little confusing to people. For our tribe, we have a WhatsApp group, and somebody will just throw up a hat, throw up a flag, and say, hey, this is what's going on, I need some help.
Right.
And everybody jumps in, hey, what do you need? How can I help you? Because we have built that community. If somebody is going on a trip out of the area, they'll let us know, hey, we're going to be gone here for this amount of time. So I know that they're going. So a couple of weeks ago, I had to go back to the States to attend to some family issues. Everybody in the community knew. They were praying for me. When I got back, everybody checked in. Hey, how was the trip? Everything.
Yep.
So that way there's a level of accountability.
Yeah.
And somebody knows. And also they were checking on Glenn while I was gone, making sure he was good while I was gone.
Because your boy was over here struggling. No, it is funny because, I remember the day you left, literally there was an assignment given to a couple in the community.
Check on Glenn.
That I was not aware of. I'm trying to figure out, okay, so we just dropped Cherie off to the airport, so why y'all hanging around? Now it is, what are we going to go grab for dinner? I'm going home. Y'all take me home. No. Let's grab something. We can go to the house, but let's play some games tonight.
So you're not by yourself.
And I'm saying to myself, what? What do you mean play game? I just want to go home and watch the game. No, that's not what we're doing. I didn't know that this couple had an assignment. You guys, I need y'all to look in on my husband and make sure he good. And I thought that was so endearing because the way I found out was over a Scrabble game. And just so that y'all know, one of our things about being here and one of the reasons we chose Panama was because we wanted to be able to assimilate into the culture. Like, we love the Panamanian culture.
Yeah.
And so it was important for us to figure that out. Well, one of our friends in that group are Panamanians, a couple they're Panamanian, and we are learning the language and we're doing all things. So we sitting here playing Scrabble in Spanish. Y'all, I'm telling you right now, I had a ball. And it dawned on me, and that's where, and it was Omar and Mayu, for those that don't know, that may know them, started out as a business relationship, and they've become friends and now family. But Mayu's mom came. And so we all sitting around playing, but it was all orchestrated because we had a community to even put that out there. And so the other thing that I thought about is that you just recently dog sitted for a couple
Right.
that are our friends.
Right.
Again, because we built a community that attracted them.
Right. They had an event, something that came up at the last minute.
They had family in town,
They
I
had
think.
family in town, and they wanted to take them out on an outing. And rather than putting the dog into a kennel for the day, because I had expressed I like their dog, and I had offered, hey,
Listen.
if you guys ever need a dog sitter.
Right, just so that you know.
And so they
I'm
called
like, oh
and was
God,
like,
we in
hey, are
trouble
you
now.
available this day? I was like, sure, bring her over. And so I was able to do that to alleviate the stress of them having to worry about putting her in a kennel.
Yeah.
And so it's just being able to be there for each other, I think is important. And I think that when people move away from their network, we don't always consider the importance of building a new network.
Right.
And that's one of the things that makes you feel at home. I know for me, I've always been the type, there was a season we went through when we were living in another state that I didn't have that network.
Yeah.
And it really was stressful for me because I felt alone.
Right.
And I knew after that I never wanted to go through that again. And so being here, we were intentional.
Yep.
From the time we got here, it was like, we're going to start meeting people, we're going to connect, we're going to find...
Actually, we were intentional before we got here.
Right, because we had started building a relationship with Mike even before we got here. But we were intentional, and we're going to go find our people.
Yeah.
And so I want to encourage you guys, if you're going to move, whether it's to another state, whether it's to another country...
I'm sweating on you.
Yes, you are. You're hot.
It's getting hot.
Look to find your people.
Right.
If you're moving there by yourself, now if you're moving there with a group of people, great, you should have your people. But
Right.
Look to find your people. And like I said, it doesn't have to be 20 people. It doesn't have to be 10. It doesn't have to be 5. But find your people, because there are going to be times when although you may feel like I'm good, I'm by myself.
I don't need nobody, blah, blah, blah. Until you do.
When Glenn hates this term, when life starts lifing.
Right.
You're going to need somebody.
Tell people why I hate that term, babe.
Because, I don't know, you explain it.
Most people use the term, life be lifing as an excuse not to be productive.
Right.
And as a business owner, having built a business and mentored business owners over the years, I've always found that that's just one more reason to put on the table why you don't execute on a thing. If I use this in your personal life, you don't execute on what it looks like to build that community, to eventually build a tribe of folks who ride for you until you need them.
So when things happen in life, which are out of our control, things are going to happen, whether it's you get sick, whether there's a loss in the family, whatever it is, whenever things happen, it's good to have a community, have somebody that you can reach out to. And particularly when you're in a foreign country, you never want to be so off grid that no one can find you. Now, if you running and you hiding from something,
we ain't talking about that.
For those of y'all,
listen, on the witness protection program,
we ain't talking about y'all.
We not talking about y'all.
Not talking to
this
you.
is not the conversation
I'm talking
for y'all.
to the average person.
Average people.
You done came, even if you're coming on a trip.
Right.
You're coming here to visit. You're going to any country to go visit. Someone needs to know where you are, what you're doing. They have functions on your phone that you can let someone know your location. That is just good stewardship. That's a good measure of security that you should always use. Someone should be able to know where you are at all times, especially when you're in a foreign country.
So the last thing that I want to make sure that we kind of address a little bit, and that is, for those of you guys who had not considered that, put me in the chat. And the reason why I'm asking that is because we want to consider what would it look like for us to connect you to places that, quite frankly, might be your people. As you guys ask questions in the chat, I'll suggest, hey, you may want to look into this. One good suggestion, one pro tip is utilize the Facebook communities and leverage them for what they were designed to do. And if nothing else, you pop into some of these communities and just watch the conversations, right? At this point, it'll quickly help you identify, are they my people?
Right, and one of the things that prompted us having this conversation in particular is that oftentimes, particularly for couples, when you reach that age, retirement age, and you're looking to relocate,
Yeah.
you're looking to retire somewhere away from home. There are several factors that couples don't often consider when you go into retirement, and we're going to talk about that probably in our next episode. But there are other reasons why it's important to have a community, to connect to other people when you're making a transition
Right.
in life. And we're going to get more into that in the next episode.
Okay.
I want to talk about that, about transitioning.
Life transitions.
Life transitions, and why some key things you need to do
In
or
order
have
to
in
make
place
that
to make that
not so
successful.
stressful.
Yeah, because unfortunately, it has not gone well for some.
Yeah.
Because they did not consider certain things
Yep.
on the front end, and I think it can be avoided.
Yeah, absolutely.
And community helps.
So, last thing, real quick, guys, if you're ever looking to come travel to Panama, we are not relocation specialists, but we would love to curate your experience of exploring this country for the reasons that you want to come here so that you leave here having the best experience of what Panama has to offer. It's called Taste and See.
Yes, if you'd like to experience one of our Taste and See Panama experiences, click the link in the bio, schedule a consultation with me, and I will help customize, curate, whatever you want to call it, create the perfect experience for you and your loved ones, for you to come and taste and see Panama.
That living liberated is good. At the end of the day, y'all be good. We all know that you cannot get to any place of significance by yourself. Because we all need
some help.
Y'all be good, and we'll catch you on the next episode.